Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Izzy, aka the Zab Lab, and I'm a fibre artist and textile designer. I've decided to make Let's Talk Fibre Arts into a fibre arts podcast. I've done 2 videos already and I like the style of this, and it just sort of suits my lifestyle at the moment, so that's what you're getting from me right now. I've decided to split this video sort of into 4 sections where I'll talk about some important events that have happened that I need to share, my finished objects, my current whips, and then a little bit about what you can expect to see from me. Okay, so in terms of recent events, the most important thing that I have to announce is I've launched my website! Yay! So you can find me at zablab.co.uk. It is currently a shop, mostly, where I'm selling lots of spinning fibre. So I've got art bats, hand-dyed fibre packs, hand-dyed locks, some naturally dyed locks. I've also got some handspun yarn and some hand-dyed yarn. So there's something there for everyone. If you're not a hand spinner, there's yarns you can check out. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. I feel very pleased with myself now that I've got it out of the way and it's there, and I can just keep adding to it and maybe add like a little portfolio section at some point. So check it out if you haven't already. Okay, so the other main event that I need to talk about is the Spinning for Someone little community event. You may have seen this on Instagram if you're following me there, or if you're following lots of other fibre artists and hand spinners. So Eloise at Expression L set up this group of fibre artists who are hand spinners to do a little Secret Santa style handspun yarn trade. So we were each given a person to spin for, that we would spin a yarn inspired by the person, and then we would send it to that person for them to use. And because all of us love giving so much, I know that a lot of people also gave like hand-dyed fibre and bats and things like that to the person for them to spin themselves. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about who I spun for and what I made for them, and then I'll show you everything that was gifted to me by the person who was spinning for me. So I spun for Kate Biers on YouTube and on Instagram at Mini Brew Studios. If you've seen some of her most recent videos, she has talked about the stuff that I sent her. It was so surreal watching her open that package, because I sent it all the way from over in the UK and she's in the US. So honestly, this experience has been so amazing, and like the sense of community that we all have and like the connection that all of these fibre artists now have with each other is really beautiful. So thank you, Eloise, for setting this up. So yeah, I spun for Kate and I made a textured yarn inspired by a 2-piece knit set that was super textured. I think it was a boucle yarn that Kate made, and honestly it was so whimsical, so beautiful. It's like this purpley, greeny, bluey, a little bit of pink, a little bit of red, super textured 2-piece, and I made a yarn inspired by that. So I did a coil ply yarn and I applied it with a lace weight boucle that I had, and I just sort of tried to extract the colours and emulate some of the texture of the 2-piece in that yarn. And it was so freaky is when Kate opened it, she showed me a photo of her bedspread that it like the colours matched perfectly. So that's just so surreal, and I love it. I then made Kate a gradient bat, and this was inspired by a patchwork skirt that she sewn from like thrifted fabrics. I love Kate's sewing that she does. She does a lot of really crafty things like in all aspects of her lifestyle, which is so inspiring to see. I also gifted her some naturally dyed fibres, because she's been doing a lot of natural dyeing, which has been, I've actually loved seeing her journey of discovering it, and it's literally such like a rabbit hole that you can get down with the natural dyes. So that's everything that I sent to Kate. Okay, so now we're going to get into what I was very kindly gifted and made by Rowan. This is their Instagram. I still cannot pronounce it, so I'm so sorry. These are all beautiful yarns. Ooh. Wait, that one wasn't included, that's mine. These are all the beautiful yarns that I was sent by Rowan. Again, I will take photos and do overlays so you can see this better as I'm talking through it. First up, we have these little mini skeins that were some hand-dyed mystery wool from Discreet Unicorn. And I think this was one of the the first spins that Rowan did on their Scottish drop spindle, which is super exciting and special. So I'm pretty sure it's like a self-striping colorway that was plied with this lovely pink. Perfect for me. This lovely pink on this one, and then I think this was just like the leftover ply back on itself. It's super bouncy. It's very squidgy, and the colors are beautiful. No, I love it. I'm pretty sure I saw Rowan post about this and I was like, I love that yarn so much. And it was gifted to me. So the next yarn, 100% hand-dyed Wensleydale ply back on itself. We all love a lockspun, let's be real. And this is so beautiful. I wish I could sleep on this. I wish it could be my pillow. I love it. It's beautiful, Rowan. Beautiful. Okay, and then the main star of the show are these 3 yarns. I believe this is all 100% hand-dyed fibres. So there's 100% hand-dyed. There's merino, Wensleydale locks, alpaca, trilobal nylon, tussar silk, silk flaps, recycled silk ribbon, and there are 3 skeins of them. So the biggest one is a coil ply. Super textured, mostly green with some pinks, golds, blues. I love it. It's so whimsical. It is so whimsical and it's beautiful. Obsessed. And then there's this little coil ply yarn. Again, amazing texture. Where these locks are is like so good. And then a little boucle of the same strand. So I'm pretty sure that the single strand was for all these yarns was spun on drop spindles, which is insane. And I have so much respect for, because I personally love spinning on my Turkish spindles. But that's absolutely insane. And in the letter, I think Rowan wrote that they actually whipped out their treadle wheel to ply these, because doing a coil ply yarn and a boucle on a drop spindle would be very intense. So yeah, amazing yarns, stunning and beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much, Rowan. I will treasure these forever, and I will find a suitable project for them. My first instinct when I opened these was a textured weaving, as this like the grass, and I'll sort out some sky, and to do little sheep, maybe to do like coast, how do you say that? Coast, where you like sew over the strand. It's an embroidery stitch. I'll put it on the screen. Do little sheep in the weaving, or I'll do like a knit. I'll do a knit scene or a crochet scene. I think weaving's probably best for the texture of these yarns, so we'll see. Rowan gifted me so much fibre, and I have actually already spun it all, so I've got more yarn to show you. These are the three yarns. Let's talk about them in order that I spun them. So this is 100% hand-dyed alpaca, I believe, and this was some hand-carded Rolags, and it's like this. There's like a dark brown, a light brown, and a dark pink and a light pink. It is so soft, so squishy. Literally the drapiest thing ever. I spun this woolen, so it's such a beautiful yarn. It's so soft. I don't know what alpaca Rowan gets the fleece from, but it's beautiful, and I've enjoyed every ounce of this. So there's that. And then the next one I spun, this is another 3-ply yarn, y'all. So this was 100% BFL hand-dyed braid in the colorway Apple Blossom. Apple Blossom. Yeah, so pinks, greens, and a little bit of yellow. And Rowan wrote in the letter that because I'd spun, like they saw me spin yarn to knit socks, they gifted me this braid because BFL is really good for socks. So I've spun it as a 3-ply with the intention of doing it or knitting it as socks. This yarn bloomed a lot when I blocked it, which is absolutely fine. So I'll need to use slightly bigger needles to knit some socks, and I think they'll just be like house loungy socks. I did not get anywhere near as much yardage out of this as my previous sock spin, so I don't think I was being particularly thin with it, but that's also because it was a ball ache spinning that other skein, so we'll see. This will probably be socks at some point. It's beautiful. BFL was beautiful to spin. I think I'm gonna have to buy some BFL to dye myself at some point. Yeah, again, just squishy, soft, lovely. Oh yeah, and then there was this little leftover that was chain plied, so I've like got a little collection of like leftover mini skeins that I need to do something with. The next yarn, this is a single ply yarn, so this is a 100% merino hand-dyed braid in the colorway Hydrangea, and I also added some hand-dyed locks that I had, like lilac, in this like greeny light blue color. This is beautiful. I hadn't spun a single ply yarn in so long, so I actually used the larger whirl on my wheel for the first time in what actually feels like forever. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed spinning this. It was very satisfying, and it's so nice seeing it all skeined up like this. Yeah, just I have no words. I think yarn is so beautiful, and I'm like in a little bit of a spinning kick now. I was like, when I was spinning this, I spun one single and then kind of stopped spinning for ages and was in a bit of a slump. But I finished this and then immediately spun this. So I was feeling inspired, so we love to see it. Beautiful stuff. Okay, so we've kind of already started talking about my finished objects, so let's continue that with a little bit more yarn. So I've just got 2 more skeins to talk about. So I finished spinning a bat from like the load of bats that I made for my cardigan project. Yeah, it's just a 2-ply yarn. I spun it as a single, picked it up and then plied it back on itself. Not much else to say about it. It is nice. And then I have this stunning lock spun yarn. So the locks in this, there was some hand-dyed Wensleydale that Rowan actually gifted me like at the start of the year when we did a little fibre arts trade. There was some hand-dyed mohair from Chloe at Closetberg Fibres, and then also some like BFL locks that I bought just in a yarn shop in Wales. Yeah, so I spun it as a coreless lock spin, and then I plied it on this little mini skein of hand-dyed yarn that Chloe gifted me, that I believe she dyed herself. Yeah, it's like light green, light pink, and then slightly like purpley magenta pink. Stunning. I was honestly feeling so inspired after this, and they go beautifully together, so maybe they'll end up as some funky little sheep or some sort of embellishment on something, just so you really get that colour and texture. Just okay, so I really feel like I'm in a little bit of a spinning vibe again after spinning this. So when I spun this, I spun one single and then just didn't spin for ages again, and I don't really know why. I was just in a bit of a slump, and then I finished this yarn and then I spun some of those other ones, and now I'm really into spinning again. So because of that, I decided I would treat myself and make myself another stunning bat. This beauty has lots of hand-dyed fibres, so we've got trilobal nylon, silk, silk noil, I think there's some bamboo in there as well, and then just like merino stuff that I'd had in my stash. So it's purple, pink and orange. Those are my 3 favourite colours, by the way. Pink first, then purple and orange. Yeah, I'm just feeling really autumnal, and this feels very whimsical, and it is the vibe. And I also have a little bundle of hand-dyed mohair. Let me lift it out so you can have a look. Yeah, just some hand-dyed pink, purple and magenta mohair. I think there's a mash and lock there as well, actually. I will spin with this. Yeah, so the vibe I'm going for with this is I'm going to spin it as a single ply, like this one, and then maybe these 2 items could be used together. Who knows, but this is next up on the spinning queue for me. Okay, so that's all the yarn that I wanted to talk about, and now we can talk about some actual finished objects, actual items. If you watched my last video, you'll have seen that I was talking about my scrunchie bag. And I have finished it now. This is 100% hand spun. It is beautiful, it is amazing, and I've actually been wearing this a lot as my everyday sort of handbag. So there's lots of yarns in this from Chloe at Closetbug Fibres. So in this section here, the light yarn was a yarn by Chloe. I think it's called Fairy Floss. I will put it on the screen. And then there's also on this side here, there's a really textured coil ply that was like a scrap yarn that Chloe spun and I bought from her. And then there's also just like the little freebie yarns that she gives out, dotted about in the shorter section. I'm really glad that I recycled I frogged my handspun crochet shorts, and that's this like neon and like it's all dotted about, mixed together, because I needed more yarn because crochet eats up yarn like crazy. That's good because this is dense, it's pretty hefty, it's a pretty sturdy bag, which is good because it's hand spun. I don't want it to break, and it used up a lot of my yarn, which is a big goal of mine at the moment, is just to have less craft stuff so I'm not overwhelmed by it. Yeah, other things I added, there is a lining in it, so when I'd done making it, before I folded it in half to sew it together, I just measured out a piece of fabric, sewed a basic hem, and then hand stitched it to the inside piece of the fabric, and then sewed it up and then flipped it inside out to construct it, just because it gives it a little bit more structure, because again it's hand spun. I didn't want it to stretch and sag or like items fall out from me using it, and it's worked really well. I really love it. You might be able to see here, there's a few little guys hanging out. So these slugs are handmade by Rowan. Again, don't know how to pronounce your Instagram username. So the big guy is called Fenwick, I believe. He has some hand spun yarn in. He's a big guy, he's frilly, he's pink, and I love him. And then we have Clovis, which is this little one. And Clovis actually has a brother, I believe it's called Ermintrude, that I gifted to my friend Pop for their birthday. So they're just the little accessories on here, and I honestly think it's the perfect addition. They do blend in a little bit, but it's nice knowing they're there when I carry this bag around. So yeah, that's the scrunchie bag. I'll just do a segue now where I show you some photos or videos just in a little bit better lighting and things like that. The next finished object is very special. I'm very happy and I'm very excited to share with you hand spun, hand knit socks. Take a moment to process that. A lot of hours have gone into these, but I love them, and I think I'm now obsessed with socks, and I want to make so many pairs of socks, and I want to spin so much yarn for socks. So yeah, so it was a 3-ply fingering weight yarn that I spun. It's a superwash, Polworth and nylon. and I was worried that the yarn didn't like fractal properly, but it's very stripy, and the socks are actually very similar, but obviously they're quite different, but they turned out so good, so happy with it. The first sock took me a while to knit because I'm a very beginner knitter, and I had to undo the heel flap because I did it wrong at some point. And then when I knit the toe the first time round, I hadn't made the sock long enough, so I had to rip it back and then re-knit the toe. But then I had my formula and like my row counts ready to knit the second sock, which I did very quickly. On the second sock, when I picked up the stitches around here, the shape, the gusset, I made a hole by accident, but I didn't do that on the first sock, so I don't know what happened. Don't know how I did that. But yeah, the pattern is by Winwick Mum. It's a free sock knitting pattern, and I actually really recommend this for any beginner sock knitters or just a beginner knitter in general, because the person has YouTube video tutorials on every single step of the pattern, so you have that visual as well as the actual pattern, and I believe they also have a blog with photos to follow along, so really recommend it. I love it. I've been wearing these a lot. They are quite stretched out, but yeah, I haven't blocked them yet. I think I need to get a blocking like the shape thing so that they dry in their shape, but yeah, the only other thing that I want to do on my next pair is do like staggered decreases, because where I've been wearing them, my big toe is really stretched up this section here, which is fine, so I maybe needed to make the sock like 2 rows longer, or do staggered decreases so that there was like more space for my toe. But it's not that deep. They're going to stretch a bit anyway, so they're beautiful, and they're such a bright colour. They're not very long because I was worried about running out of yarn, but I was nowhere near running out of yarn. So, but yeah, they're just like little loungy house socks for me. Love it. That's that. That's my last finished object to talk about. Wait, actually that's a lie. The only other finished object, well, I finished it ages ago, but it's my elemental tapestry. I've actually hung it up on the wall now, so it's like in its final position. I'll put some clips of it just so you can see. Yeah, I finished this in my last craft vlog, but I hadn't like attached the bamboo or like hung it up anywhere, and it looks really good where I've put it, and it's like fully finished now because it's in its final place rather than sitting in a box. So that's all my finished objects. Okay, the next thing for me to talk about is my current works in progresses. I don't actually have all that many to talk about, so I think there's only really 2 main ones, but that's okay, and it's nice not having too much to work on because I do get a little bit overwhelmed when I do that. This is my progress on my whimsical handspun cardigan. Oh, the lighting's gone all funny. So this is my progress. I don't know what's going on with the lighting. I'm gonna hold it over my face. But yeah, handspun, obviously hand knit. Duh. It's like a basic raglan construction. I'll put the pattern on the screen. I'm at the point now where I finished the increases, and I need to divide and then cast on, and then get this, so I'm just knitting the body part. And obviously my colour palette was like very whimsical inspired, the blue, and then like this purpley pink, orange, and then I'm like transitioning back and forth, and I'm deciding to do like different size stripes. So I'm using the pink as the transitional colour, and yeah, it's like 100% hand spun, but I am holding it with drops brushed alpaca. So I've got 2 different blue colours, 2 different pink colours, and then 2 different orangey peach colours that I'm holding with my hand spun. And yeah, it's going to be like equal portions of each colour, hopefully. I'm not sure what I'll do the ribbing as yet. I might do it contrasting or do it the same as like this like basic blue here, but obviously I'm using hand spun, and like I have like random amounts of everything, so there is a lot of ends inside because of all the colour changes, because I'm doing them quite frequently, but it's turning out beautifully. And I've used some of my bouclés, so there's like a bit of texture in there, and I've got more bouclés and like a few spare yarns just in case I run out. But yeah, this is so soft. I'm so excited to have this as my first knit jumper to wear. It's going to be super cozy for late autumn and early winter, so hopefully I get that finished soon. But it's knitting up really quickly. I've actually taken a break from working on this because me and my mum are knitting the same pattern together, and she's making like a pinky, orangey, purpley one. But she's on smaller needles than me. So obviously it's taking her a bit longer because there's more stitches, but this is working out as like a bulky weight, and it's on 6.5mm needles, so yeah. I'm so excited. As soon as I've got the body section going, I think I'll be able to try it on. It's a little bit tight on the cable at the moment, obviously, because it's got all the shoulder section. And yeah, I'm knitting a size medium, and it's already a sort of oversized fit because I really like baggy jumpers. So that's also why it's bulking up like that, but I love it, and I'm very happy and I'm very excited. Again, it just feels really special as a garment because it's like handspun yarn, and I'm kind of glad in a way that I've like waited a bit to really get into knitting and crocheting like really special items, and like dedicating a lot of time to making items with my handspun yarn, because I'm like a process maker. So yeah, it just feels special. I don't think I could ever knit something that was all one colour commercial yarn. I just don't think that's who I am as a creative. I think I would hate that so much, but yeah, this is my jumper. This is all the yarn that I'm using for it, so just do a little tour of the colours if you didn't see my last video. Blah blah, me. Yeah, it's just honestly such a special tactile experience knitting up my yarns, and like every time I do it, I'm like, I just feel so special and I feel so happy. So, and that's what you want. That's what you want. So, the second whip that I have is another pair of socks. This is what I've knit so far. I'm like basically at the toe decreases now. Yeah, like I said, I knit that pair of socks myself and then immediately cast on this. This is like my portable project, because it's just so lightweight and it's a bit easier to take around than a drop spindle. Yeah, the yarn is some yarn that actually dyed like 2 years ago when I was just starting my like proper fibre arts journey. It was a merino nylon blend. I'm pretty sure it was superwash, and I dyed it with like vintage Dylon cold dyes, and it's like this variegated purpley, orangey, burgundy colour. It's very berry-esque, it's very autumnal, which is perfect. But yeah, I'm knitting this pair of socks, and it will be a gift for my gran. I will either give it to her for her birthday or Christmas, depending on how soon I knit it. Yeah, this yarn was actually in another project that I frogged. I love frogging projects, I love recycling them. But yeah, it was like a crochet vest that I made where I held the yarn double and I frogged it. I kind of wish that I skeined it and then like blocked it so that it was super straight again, because it is, I don't know if you can see, it's quite curly. So when I've been knitting it up, there is like actually quite a bit of texture. If you can't see that properly while I'm editing, I'll add some photos. So I'm hoping that when I block this, because I'll actually block these before I gift them, some of that will come out. But if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world, like it's a pair of socks. Yeah, it's worked up so quickly. Really loving socks. The little needles just going clink, clink, clink. So good, yeah. That's all I have to say really. In terms of other whips, the only other thing that I'm really sort of working on like slowly behind the scenes is spinning the yarn for a cardigan project. I spun quite a lot of the yarn already. Like this was the most recent one that I spun that I talked about earlier, but I've decided that rather than using the same pattern by the creator of the jumper that I'm making at the moment, I want to use the Loopy Studio free striped cardigan like guide. So I know there's a YouTube video and I think there might be a written pattern as well. I really love the shape of it, I love the construction, and obviously it's stripy, so it's perfect for having those like random amounts of yarn, because as I'm working up that jumper, deciding to go with the stripes makes sense because I've got like random bits, so it means that I can like make it a more unified garment by each section being slightly different, and I think the same will be like really effective for a cardigan. So I'll show you the little yarn palette we've got so far. So I've got these yellowy yarns that I spun ages ago and I talked about in one of my like first vlogs that I spun on drop spindles with like naturally dyed fibres. That was like the start of the idea for this project. And obviously I've got this one as well. I've got 2 more bats that I'm spinning in this yarn, so I have 2 more skeins like this, and then I've got 2 other spins on the go on my Turkish drop spindles that are a similar vibe to this, like naturally dyed fibres with silks and things. So those are like the lighter colours that I've got, and then I've got these like burgundy colours. So the 2 yarns on the end are the ones that I spun from fibres from Rowan, and then this is just like a single ply that I had that kind of matches. So the vibe is like the lighter stripe and the darker stripe, and obviously I'll spin more of like darker type yarn if I need to. Like I could use that bat that I've spun, because I'll spin it as like a DK as a single ply, because these are all about DK 2 plies. But that's the colour palette. I think it's going to be really nice, it's going to be really wearable, it's going to be very neutral, bit autumnal, but also great for the springtime I think as well. Yeah, that's the yarn palette for my only other whip. Okay, so the last thing I really need to talk about is just like stuff that's kind of going to be happening in the near future. So I'll be going back to uni in like 2 weeks. No, it's actually next week that I go back from when I'm filming this. So when this video comes out, I may have already gone back to uni. But what that means is that I'm going to be doing a lot of natural dyeing, a lot of carding bats, and a lot of spinning yarn. So I'm definitely going to do a natural dye vlog again. Because I've been foraging a lot of dye stuffs and I've already been filming clips for that, but I'll save it all to do it in one video so I can talk you through the plants in more detail and then my process in more detail. So I'll be dyeing the fleeces that I processed, that I got from the Great British Fibre Festival earlier this year. I've got like Wensleydale locks and things like that. I'll probably do some acid dyeing at some point with a little bit more planning in the future, a little bit further after that. If you are really interested in the process of carding and in particular spinning, the way that I'm going to spin the yarns for their particular use, for what I decide I need them for, depending on what I do in my uni projects, let me know in the comments, because I'm happy to do a bit of a video more in depth, actually explaining the technicalities of how I do that sort of stuff, if you're interested in it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, all of the creators and patterns and information that I've talked about will be linked in the description, so go and check it out. You can find me on Instagram at zablabtextiles, or you can find my website, which is zablab.co.uk, so please go and check that out if you haven't already. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you're working on, what your whips are, how you're feeling this autumn, because it's definitely very autumnal where I am and I love it so much because it's my favourite season. So I'm just feeling really excited, really creatively inspired, like I'm ready to just make loads of stuff. So yeah, let me know what you're working on, let me know what you want to work on. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.